Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so we finished volume 2 of my Ireland series, and today it's time to start volume 3. And so I'm excited because I'm really fairly certain we're going to end up with 4 volumes of this. And so I love it that all of you are hanging in there with me, and I hope you're enjoying the stories and the photos and the layouts that we're creating to go with this album. Today's layout is a creation of my own, and I'm using my scraps and just trying to work through and utilize all of my resources. So I hope that this is inspiring to you, and I hope it will give you some tips for what you can do in your own albums with your own resources, your scraps, and your the leftovers, as it were. We are scrapbookers, right? So we should make this work. So let's check out my workspace, and we are going to get started on volume number 3. All right, here's my workspace for today, and you can see I've already put together the title page for volume 3. It's exactly the same as volume 1 and volume 2, just added a 3 right here. And I planned to do the same thing for volume 4 if we get that far, which I expect to end up with a volume 4, because let's be serious, I just have a ton of pictures from this trip, and you know, they all hold special memories for different people, so I'm sort of scrapping for everyone. So if you're ever wondering why I include so many different pictures, that's why. So anyway, today we are starting day 6. So we have our another one of our day markers that is going to go on today's page. And then I have a map of the journey for the day. We went from Kinsale, Ireland, which is over here on the coast. We went across through Killarney National Park, which is coming up in future videos, and then all the way over to a place called Dingle. And if you went to Ireland and you didn't make it to Dingle, then you need to go back. We just had so much fun there, and we saw so many wonderful things. And Dingle is probably the music capital of the nation. I don't know. I'm saying that as a tourist, so who knows. But we just thoroughly enjoyed it there, and you'll get to see some really fun photos when we get that far. But we have a little bit to do first. So today's photos are mostly going to be of our breakfast the morning that we set out on this leg of the journey to get to Killarney National Park. So we have our county marker also because we are moving to another county, moving from County Cork to County Kerry, and yeah, just lots of new things today. As far as the photos go, you're just going to see, you know, some samples of our breakfast, which I'll talk about later. And then I also pulled out these. So along the route that as we were driving through on this whole trip, our tour guide's bus had digital music that he could play, and he often played a selection of music from Ireland and from Irish artists, and we were unfamiliar enough that in order for us to be able to reconnect with that once we came home, we took many pictures of the dash and the different information. So I just thought it might be fun to include that and make some kind of maybe a border or something like that with that. So we're going to probably trim these down quite a bit and then figure out something on this layout to do with these. So that's going to be fun. All right, so I'm going to set the photos aside for the moment and let's talk about layout. Okay, so I'm going to also set this aside. So we've got that marker, we've got this marker, we've got the map. So that's all going to go on eventually, but right now we are just going to talk about how we're going to do this layout. Okay, I pulled some of the papers that I have that are remnants from other scrapbook layouts that we've done in this series. So they match all the same colors and they pick up the same themes, which I really like. So this ombre square right here is from the Totally Tonal Tangerine, and we're going to use that. I have some other remnants from the Totally Tonal Kelly Green. I have one from, I think this one is from Lime Tart. And then this one is not a CM scrap at all. This one comes from Echo Park, I believe. Yeah, I'm reasonably certain this one comes from Echo Park. Okay, so I believe in using my scraps. This is scrapbooking, right? So we're going to use scraps. But if you don't have scraps that work for this, then create the papers. I'll be telling you what the measurements are so you can create your own. Okay, or just use your scraps and create something similar. That's the point here, right? Is to utilize what we have. And now that I'm halfway through this project, and I thought I would be 2/3 of the way through this project, I am trying to use every bit of paper that I have because I don't know if I'm going to have enough. I may have to get some more. So anyway, we're going to have some lessons probably in the near future on using your scraps and creative ways to do that, which is always a good thing, even if you're not doing a themed album like I am. Okay, so anyway, I'm cutting this square in half. So this square is 9.5 inches wide. So I'm cutting it at 4 3/4. So each piece will be 4 3/4 by 9.5, and they're going to go on each side of the layout like this. Okay. Then we're also going to take this piece. This is a 12-inch piece that is 12 by 4 3/4. So we're going to divide that in half long ways, and dividing that in half long ways, 4 3/4. This is tough, guys. Math was not my friend for a number of years. So we need at least a 2-inch piece, and then 2 1/4 would be half, and then 1/2 of a quarter would be here. This is, I suppose I'm using new math to figure that out, but 1/2 of 4 3/4 is going to be 2 3/8. All right, so there is our 2 halves. So that half will go there, that half will go there. We're going to use this one right here, and this one is 3 1/4. So 1/2 of 3 1/4 is going to be 1 1/2, 1 5/8. Okay, so 1 5/8. So we're going to cut that right in half. Again, one on this side, one on this side, and then this one is, I think, no, what is this one? Oh, this is 1 5/8. Well, almost. It's actually a little crooked. That's not helpful to my cause. All right, let's make it into a 1.5 inch piece. I'm just going to trim it up here just a little so that when we cut it down the middle, it will be, I can't tell if it's actually cut wrong or if it's bent, because it looks a little bit warped there in the middle. You know what? I think I'm going to improvise. Okay, we're going to cut this one in half at 6 inches this way. Okay, and oh, we were going to cut this uniform, and then my brain jumped ahead 3 steps. Okay, so 1.5, we're going to just trim this so that it's nice and straight. I'm going to make sure this one is 1.5 inches also. I think the whole piece was just about 1/8 of an inch wider than we wanted. Okay, all right. So half on that side, half on that side, and then this piece is 10.5 inches long. So we're going to do 2 pieces that are 5 1/4, so that we can do half on either side. All right. We are also going to need to create some mats, which we'll get to in a little bit here. But for the time being, let's go ahead and just assemble this. Okay, so I think what I want to do is just use these strips and just stack these strips. How wide would that be if we just stacked them? It'd be about a 4-inch border, which would be okay. That would work. We could do that. All right, so I'm going to grab my adhesive and just putting about 1/2 inch worth of adhesive in 5 places. I usually put it in each corner, 1 in the middle, and 1 halfway in between each of those. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here and let me scooch that over so I can be more in frame so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to use my mat to make sure my page is level. Then I'm going to find center, so let's get on a line there so I can find the center of my page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's the center. All right, knowing this is a 4-inch border, I'm going to line this up 2 inches from the center. Okay, so that's where the base of this strip goes, 2 inches from center. Then we're going to add this in on top. Okay, just like that. Then we're going to take the orange, the ombre. I like this, what do you call that? I'm so sorry, guys. I'm blaming it on the fact that I had COVID twice, but I can't remember. Chevron. That's a chevron pattern. Okay, the chevron pattern is going to go down on the back. I like it, but it's just not what I want on this page. All right, so we're going to center this. And just to make it easy, let's flip this around. All right. So we're going to go with about 1 1/4 inches top and bottom. And that's going to go right over the top. All right. Now these two pieces that we have left here help us decorate the remainder of this. So I think, so we could go and do something kind of like that and just bring it across, which I kind of like. Or we could use this more as just a blocking on top of the seam for these two papers. So you could do that. Or you could even, you know, turn it and have it go across here. Let me tell you what's going to happen to the border on this side so that you are aware, and you may not be doing the same thing, so that's why I want to make sure you are aware. County Kerry is going to go right here. That's just kind of how I've designed my markers for when we change to a new county, a new area. So this is going to go in here like that. So I kind of like the idea of using this as kind of a blocker. Not really a blocker, but you know, an accent underneath the county marker. And then we'll have more photos beyond. We're going to hold that thought for a minute, and I'm going to switch gears and come over here and do this page. All right, so we'll come back to that. So this page is going to come together the same way that this one did. I'll just do it really quick and we'll speed the video up. Alright, so now we have those two sides the same. Let's see if we can decide what we want to do with this. If we were to add this in right here, we could put our map on top of it, which might be a nice touch. Alright, let's tentatively plan on that. Let's go back to our photos and decide what we're going to do with them. So we know we're going to need to crop some stuff. I'm going to pull out my guillotine trimmer so that I can crop some of these photos. We have this cute one with my Emily and my Michael and Haley hanging out by the window in the breakfast area of the hotel. By the way, this hotel served wonderful breakfasts. They were beautifully presented and quite yummy. And I'm just gonna take just a 1/4 of an inch off of the edge over here as well. Okay, so I made that a 5 by 3 3/4, which may be kind of an odd size, but that's all right. And then we've got breakfast. I think we'll leave one of these without trimming it. Maybe we'll leave this one because it kind of can see more of the hotel, and this one will trim up just to give a little more space for other things. So 3.5 by 6. Or we could go ahead and just trim Nimrod out of that because he's barely there anyway. We have his eyeball. I don't know. Maybe we'll leave it. His eyeball's in the other one too. Okay, we'll just leave it. Alright, then we've got this one, which is someone's breakfast. I don't know whose breakfast this was, but it was pretty yummy looking. And I'm not a connoisseur of that style of breakfast, but it looks like, if I was going to guess, I would say maybe Eggs Benedict, only because of the hollandaise sauce, or what looks like hollandaise sauce to me. Who knows? Okay. I'm gonna trim that up again because I want this to be 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, so I can put a nice mat around it. This is a sample of breakfast. And then this is us on the road. So I'm just going to trim a tiny bit off so that we can see the dashboard of the car, of the van, bus, of the bus. Let's make this 5 inches also. Come on, there we go. All right. And then, what did I do with those other pictures? Oh, I have one more, which is kind of not the most clear, but I think we're going to leave that one the way it is, because that's a 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. We'll trim this side. All right. This is just a building that was on the side of the road as we were driving along, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. Anyway. All right, so then we're going to trim up some of these so that we can have them. So let me find the biggest ones and we'll figure out what size those need to be. And then the smaller ones can be cut in a similar fashion. All right, so these are pretty close to the same size. So let's make these 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. Okay, 3 1/2. All right, so I'm going to trim these up and I'll be right back. All right, let's see how this works. See if this will we might need to trim some of these a little smaller is what I'm thinking. But, you know, it's a start. All right, so I'll put both of these in the center. Something like that. Maybe we don't need both of these photos in there, because we could actually sneak that one in right there, and then add where are we going to add our marker? I like adding this on the bottom because it sort of gives me a place for the rainbow to grow from. Alright, let's cut some of these just a little smaller. I'm going to leave that one because it's nicely centered. We can leave that one. Let's trim those down. We'll trim this one down and trim this one down just a little bit further so that we can put these kind of in here, overlapping each other a bit. And I did say also I was going to use some mats, so we also need to make some mats. So give me a second here. We'll get that far. Just going to trim off some of the excess here. Let's go down from 3.5 to 2.5. All right, so those are going to go there. Okay, so my question for myself now is, what color do we want to mat in? I could pull the blue. We could use blue. That would be kind of different. All right, I'm going to use aqua because aqua is the blue that's in this. It also matches the blue in the rainbow, and the blue. It does a pretty good job of matching the blue in the Echo Park paper as well. Okay, so we're gonna I'm gonna adhere the photos. Not gonna mat everything, but I'm gonna adhere the photos that will have a mat to the sheet. We might need more than one sheet. We'll see. All right, this one I'm gonna mat. We're not gonna have a super broad mat. It's just gonna be about 1/8 of an inch. Don't really want something that's gonna be overtaking the rest of what's on the page. I just want enough to frame the photo. Ooh, that needs to be trimmed up just a bit. Now that I have my adhesive on the back, I always like to try to trim things before I put adhesive on the back, but clearly I missed the boat on this one. So that means it's going to stick down. All right. Nails are not letting me get that picked up because it's nicely stuck down with our wonderful adhesive. Woohoo! All right, got that trimmed up. Just mat that guy as well. All right, now we have plenty more we can mat other photos with. I'll grab my trimmer and see what else we might want to do. So we're gonna start here. That one. When I'm doing a narrow mat like this, I sort of feel like I cheat because in order to try to make it as even as possible, what I do is I use the edge of the blue right before my cutting mat. That's where I that's where I put the very edge of my photo. And then that way I can typically make sure that my pictures are going to have the same mat all the way around. Now this one didn't quite go as planned because I did not cut that all the way down somehow. There, now that's straight. I don't know where did I go wrong? Okay. And then we'll just do this other side real quick. But if I line up the corner here and the corner down here with that edge, then I usually end up with a nice even mat all the way around. Just in case you were wondering how I do that. I used to agonize over mats and trying to figure out how wide to make it and worrying about whether it was even and whatever, and I just don't, it doesn't bother me anymore. If it's slightly off, that's fine. No big deal. It'll be okay in the grand scheme of everything. It'll all work out. All right, so there are those. Now, I think we should do a few of these as well. Maybe we'll do these bigger ones. I just feel like that's so much wasted space. Maybe I'll trim that up just a little. That's probably better. Makes me feel better. It's not uniform, but it makes me feel better. All right, so going to mat that one. We're going to mat this one. Those were just a little smaller, then I would have a much better size mat around there. That's okay. we're just going to change and make it even tinier. And the reason that I'm adding the matte to these is because they all blend together so much. I just feel like if we add a little bit of a little tiny, just tiny bit of an outline, it will help give them some definition over here, so they don't all blend together. Almost had enough paper to do them all, but I have another one hiding underneath here. Check that out. One, two, three, four, five, six. Well, maybe we'll just do 6. Let's see. All right, so just a tiny bit. We're just doing a tiny bit on those, just barely. All right, that's not centered. That's gonna bug me, so I'm gonna fix it. Okay. So we're just gonna pop this off of the cardstock and center it again. Like that. Ta-da! Okay, so those are going to go over here. All right, so let me go ahead and start getting some of this adhered down. And I'm going to start with, start on the left and work my way over. So I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive. That way if I need to move anything, I can pick it up and move it with relative ease. And I think I'm going to put Kerry down first, because with the Y that extends below and the K that is just a little taller, it's just easier to start with this one so that it's lined up right and straight like that. Then we can add county in and make those Y's go to about roughly the same. Oop, I need to scoot it down just a little. All right. That works. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and place this down. I'm just going like 2/3 of the way into this longer piece so that both are seen easily. Okay, so like that. And then this is going to be centered and roughly 1/8 of an inch away from, whoops, there we go, roughly 1/8 of an inch away from the County Kerry letters, which sort of, I guess, serve as our title for the page. Okay, so let's do these two first. These two are going to balance out our so I'm just trying to center them both. As well as I can. There we go. I'll just go with that. Okay, so like that. And this one's going to go down here. And it might have to overlap just a smidge. It does, which is okay. Okay, then we can use this area up here to journal or possibly add an embellishment. We'll see what happens there. All right, we're gonna get our rainbow situated here. Looks good. This guy's gonna go down here. Let's get these pieces put together. Okay, and this is going to go centered right in there. And then this guy will go right on top. This guy will go right here in the middle. let's do these guys. All right. All right, these are going to go down with repositionable adhesive because who knows how many times we may need to adjust this. So I love repositionable adhesive, especially because of its flexibility when it comes to things like this. So I'm just going to put adhesive on the back of all of these, and then we'll try to lay it out so that it makes some kind of sense. I love this. Eileen Ogg and the Merry Wallopers. And by the way, all of this music was fantastic. So if you are prepping for a trip to Ireland, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend that you look this music up. It will definitely get you in the mood and ready for your trip, for sure. All right, Streams of Whiskey by the Pogues. The Pogues are really good, very good band. Blackbird by Sharon Shannon. Just, we loved this trip so much. I know I've told you that before, but we just had so much fun, and it was definitely a neat way to get in touch with our heritage. So I think we'll just kind of go with that. All right. Now, let's add just a couple of embellishments. I know that word makes my editor cringe, doesn't it? Sorry, sweetheart. But we do need to add just something. A little extra something to this. All right, so I have a strip of black shimmer cardstock, just a scrap, and I have the Musical Notes Border Maker cartridge. This is one that came out quite a while ago, but you can see that this is a knockout Border Maker cartridge, so it's going to give me a nice selection of notes that I can then use to add to my page. It's going to give me a nice border too, but I'm not going to make a border with it this time around. I just want the notes to add to my page. And then, let's see, I'm just going to separate these real quick. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is grab this smaller shamrock and add him over here, and then we'll add these little notes on top of him. Let me add one of these guys too. They are kind of tiny, so it makes it a little bit difficult, a little tricky to add. Maybe I should punch one more just to get just a couple more on there. Pardon me. Okay, I think we'll just go with that. Maybe I'll add a little journaling in here as well. This is scrapbooking in real time, as they say. I'm planning it as I go. I'll just put those right in there and leave all that room to tell the story of the day. All right, let's see. Let's take a look up here. Do we need anything? Maybe just... We'll make a little cluster up here. It'll be grand, as they say. It'll be grand. Throw them in the wash, it'll be grand. That comes from a movie my kids quote all the time. Throw it in the wash, it'll be grand. All right, there we go. Stick those up there, and I think I'm happy with that. Okay, let me know what you think. This one was definitely on the fly, but it does, I think, showcase what you can do with your scraps. And you shouldn't have to feel like you have to start with a full 12 by 12 piece of paper every time that you sit down to scrapbook, because we need to use every little bit. All right, so let me know what you think. And next time we are going to be on the road to Killarney National Park, which is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm excited. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.